Hi, my name is Mariana, and today I'm going to be your teacher. We're going to talk about mixed conditionals. I know many of you have heard of conditionals, or maybe you have learned them, and you had some problems with even basic types of conditionals. So, mixed conditionals maybe feels like it's something much harder, like almost impossible to learn. But the fact is, it's really easy. You just have to understand the logic of forming of mixed conditionals. So, have you ever thought, if I had studied harder, I would have a better job now? If yes, congratulations, you already used a mixed conditional. And today we're diving into the world of regrets, imagination, and time travel. So, if I had studied harder, I would have a better job now. What is it? If I had studied harder, it's a past action. I would have a better job now, present result of that past action. Basically, we have three types of conditionals, like basic types of conditionals, not mixed. And let's revise a little bit. So the first type consists of present tense in the if clause and then will plus verb in a result clause. For example, if I study, I will pass. If I study present tense, I will pass will plus verb, which means future. Yeah. Then second type, past simple in the if clause and then would plus verb in result clause. If I studied, I would pass. If I studied, past simple, I would pass, would plus verb. Third type. If clause consists of past perfect and then result clause would have plus the third type of verb. If I had studied, I would have passed. If I had studied, past perfect, and I would have passed, would have, and past is the third form of a word pass. But sometimes life is more complicated than just one tense. What if the past affects the present, or the present affects the past possibility? That's when we mix conditionals. And we're going to talk about two basic types of conditionals today. The ones that we use really often. The first type is past to present. Past action that affects present results. For example, if I had taken that job, I would be living in Paris now. So, if I had taken that job, past action, I would be living in Paris now. Present result, now. The result of that past action. I think it's pretty easy. And second type, maybe it's a little bit harder, but still. Vice versa, present to past. And how can present affect past? Does it even make sense? Let's take the example. If I were more confident, I would have spoken at the meeting yesterday. Present action, so-called, is basically a thing about your personality. Something that is just a fact, a general thing about you. Let's say universal truth, I don't know, about you. The thing that doesn't change. That's what I mean. If I were more confident. So confidence, the fact that I'm not confident enough is the thing that doesn't change. That's why it can be considered as present. And then past result of that present action, present thing. I would have spoken at the meeting yesterday if I were more confident. Okay, let's talk a little bit closer about that. So the first type, past action and present results. We use it to talk about regrets. For example, we regret we haven't done something we actually wanted to do. And its structure is if plus past perfect in the if clause, yeah? And would plus base verb in the result clause. So if I had slept more, I wouldn't feel so tired now. If I had slept more, it's past perfect. I wouldn't feel so tired now. Would plus base verb feel now. Present result. Let's practice. Take your time to think how should we write the verbs in brackets? What tense should we use in these examples? If I had learned English earlier, I more opportunities now. So pay attention. If I had learned English earlier, what kind of action is that? When did it happen? And when is happening the action in the second half? More opportunities now. If I had learned English earlier, I would have more opportunities now. Why? Again, because we use past perfect in the if clause, then would plus base verb, base form of the verb. So we have here have is the base form of the verb actually. And we just add would because here we have past perfect. If I had learned English earlier, I would have more opportunities now. Next one. If she had told me the truth, if she had told the truth, he, her now. If she had told the truth, he would trust her now. Again, would plus base verb of the verb, form of the verb. If we hadn't missed the train, we on time now. If we hadn't missed the train, we would be on time now. Next one. If we have present to past, it's a little bit less common, but only because we not always talk about ourselves, our personal traits, or things like that. That's why we use it not very often, but still we do use it. And when do we actually do it? Sometimes your personality or situation now could have changed your path. Yeah, so as I said, it's a general thing about you. That's why it can be considered as present thing. If I were more organized, so I'm not really organized now and in general. So that's why I didn't finish the project earlier. I haven't finished the project earlier. But if I were more organized, I would have finished a project earlier. So if the general thing about me, this fact that I'm not really organized, was different, was just the opposite. If I were more organized, I would change the past because I would have finished the project earlier. That's the logic. Now we have a little quiz. Take your time to think about the sentences. How should we write the verbs in brackets? What tense should we use in here? You can pause the video to think also. If I harder, I would have a better grade now. So pay attention to the full half of the sentence, which is here, I would have a better grade now. Now, which means it's present. Okay, yeah, so then what should we use in the if clause? If I studied harder, I would have a better grade now. Studied harder. We have here past simple, past action, because we have a present result. Next one. If she were taller, she in the basketball team last year. If she were taller, it's something about us, like a general fact about our body, the thing that doesn't change. That's why it can be considered as present. And then in the second half, we have last year. Again, the thing that tells us it has to be in past. If she were taller, she would have been in the basketball team last year. So would have been because it's past. Because of the fact she could be taller. If she were taller, she would have been in the basketball team last year. But she's not tall enough, so she haven't been in the basketball team last year. Next one. If we had booked tickets earlier, we're in better seats now. So if we had booked tickets earlier, it's past action. And then the result is in present because we have a word now. So if we had booked tickets earlier, we would sit in better seats now. Would sit because it's present result, the present result of past action. So, mixed conditionals, let us rewrite our past and imagine difference now. It's grammar, but it's also storytelling, and every if holds a whole alternative universe. So don't just stick to 3 basic types of conditional because even though English is simple, it's not that boring to use just these 3. Thank you for your attention. I hope this information were useful for you. And bye.